spirituality with open hearts and open minds. We have some souls gathered here in our sanctuary at our Unity Spiritual Enrichment Center. The rest of you are joining us online via Zoom this morning, so welcome one and all. If we've learned nothing else from the pandemic, it's nothing can separate us and our love and our faith together as we walk together as kindred souls wherever we are. So just take a moment and just feel the gathering of those souls from places all around as this place fills. And as I was meditating before the service began this morning, I felt the presence of Reverend Donald Curtis and Reverend Dorothy Curtis, who were my first Unity ministers in Dallas back 30 years ago. And I felt both of them. So know that Reverend Don and Dorothy's are both sending their love and blessings to all of you this morning. And they continue to serve in love and in spirit. So I invite you now to prepare to light your candle, a tradition begun during the pandemic. David will light our Christ candle here, and you all will light them where you are at home. So as we light these candles, either physically or imaginally, I invite you now to unite your voices and come light, light of God. Come light, light of God, give light to creation, enlighten our hearts and remain with our world. Come light, light of God, give light to creation, enlighten our hearts and remain with our world. Oh, let's say who and what we are as a spiritual community. We are an authentic, transformative spiritual community. Centered in God, we co-create a world that works for all. And so we settle in this day as we sing our wonderful song that reminds us that in unity and with one another, we have found home. I am home, and I'm also thrilled to let you know that today not only do we have Clara choked up, Clara with us, we also have a guest artist today. Mia Kelly is here blessing us not only with her song, but with her sweet presence. So we're so glad she's here. So Clara, I am home.
Okay. I am home. I am home. I have traveled far along this road, and now I'm home. Shalom, shalom. In the love of God, I am home. I am home. I am home. I have traveled far along this road, and now I'm home. Shalom, shalom. In the love of God, I am home. And now Mia's going to join me in singing the piece of
Maybe it's enough that one man's gone from the neighborhood at a time.
that I learned from
Okay.
The peace of the earth be with you, the peace of the heavens too. The peace of the rivers be with you, the peace of the oceans too. Deep peace falling over you. God of the rivers be with you, the peace of the oceans too. Deep peace falling over you. God's peace growing in you. The peace of the earth be with you, the peace of the heavens too. The peace of the rivers be with you, the peace of the oceans too. Deep peace falling over you. God's peace growing in you.
Good morning, everybody. So let's see what we got here. Yes. So for those of you that have studied traditional, um, well, traditional spiritual activities, you'll know we talk a lot about circles. Labyrinth is a circle. Pray in circles, circle of life, those kinds of things. I want to share this with you as a way of kind of reminding us, because what goes around comes around, and the circle has no beginning, no end. So every moment you can create a new beginning and end up with a new end. God is a circle dance of communion. The harmony way of living is often referred to symbolically as a circle or hoop. The circle has no beginning, no end, so no one can enter at any place, or so anyone can enter at any place and at any stage. The circle can explain stages of life, values, difference amongst peoples. Circles can explain seasons, how they continue to be on the creative harmony and balance of the universe. Trinity is a mutual circle dance of love and communion. The circle or hoop is a symbol of life, is found in all indigenous spiritualities. The symbol is a powerful representation of earth, life, season cycles, cycles of maturity, etc. Life is a sacred circle. This moment is a sacred circle. When we gather in a circle, the praying has already begun. When we gather in a circle, we communicate with each other and with great mystery, even without a word being spoken. God is an infinite sphere whose center is everywheres and whose circumference is nowheres. So here we are in the middle of this circumference of spirit at all times. And it's a good reminder that the great do-overs that we get in our life when I screw up and I need a do-over, I just start another circle. And the other thing that I've over studying this stuff for many years is that these circles have an upward spiral to them. So as each time you climb back on that circle, you're just a little higher consciousness with another experience that you get to carry forward or leave behind. So enjoy your circle this day. The daily word today is world peace. It sure goes along with our song that we just got done singing. If we all would just know the peace of God through all of its creation, the air we breathe, the oceans, the waters, the critters, the leaves, etc., we may find a place that we can all have in common. I am a peaceful presence to all. Peace in the world begins with me, begins with you. I consider it a sacred responsibility to respond to all people in circumstances peacefully. Here's the catch. I forgive myself for those moments I am less than peaceful and quickly return to the peace of God in my heart. I am a living expression of God, just as all people are. My tranquil bearing inspires peacefulness wherever I go and with everyone that I meet. Every day, I join like-minded people in the presence of peace. I give thanks for that and for each of us who communicates God's love in our own unique ways, peace and harmony are established in individuals, families, communities, and among all nations in the world. In 2 Corinthians, put things in order. Listen to my appeal, says Paul. Agree with one another, live in peace, and the love of God and peace will be with you. And so it is. I am a peaceful presence for all.
Oh, we now prepare to enter into our time of prayer and meditation together. Prayer is what truly holds this spiritual community woven together in special and amazing ways. There are times where we gather together in prayer to celebrate and be in deep gratitude. There are times we gather to grieve together and to hold that highest unfolding of spirit in the midst of challenges. All beautiful connections between us. And this week, this spiritual community experienced a loss that I would like to share with you this day. There was a beautiful light in the world that carried her light and went from this realm to the next. Chris Montgomery, our pianist who's done Christmas and Easter and all kinds of Sundays with us and that we love so dearly. His 32-year-old daughter had been ill the last week or so, and on Monday afternoon, she unexpectedly died at their home. And so I went over and was present on behalf of this whole spiritual community that day and in the coming days during the week with Chris and the family and friends. And so I wanted to let you know. So her name was Alora. So Alora Ellie, who was an incredible free spirit, light, beautiful voice. She could do the blues like nobody else. I got to hear a video yesterday of her singing, and it was just amazing. So we grieved the loss with Chris and with her mom, Linda, and with the whole family. But we know, I felt as soon as I walked into the house that her grandmother had come, who had died several years ago. And there was not one moment when Ellie was alone. And when I went back yesterday afternoon, I noticed the beautiful white Kuan Yin in the corner of the living room that belonged to Chris's mother. So the goddess of compassion and Alora's grandmother was there. So as we do our prayer and meditation this day, we'll send special blessings. But before we entered into prayer, I wanted to let you all know. And so Chris has his family have felt love and support. The prayer chaplains have been holding this in high watch all week. And so I invite you all to do the same. And so we're going to sing a beautiful song that Clara's found to take us into and out of meditation. And I think it's absolutely perfect because it reminds us that all of us hold that light, whatever realm our soul is moving in, and that we are one with the divine and always held in the loving arms of spirit. In the silence.
In the silence, I can feel the love. In the silence, I can rise above. In the silence, I can hear the voice. In the silence, I am home. In the silence, I can feel the love. In the silence, I can rise above. In the I can feel the love. In the silence, I can rise above. In the silence, I can hear the voice. In the silence, I am whole.
And so settle in now to a few moments of silence and stillness. And as you settle into this, feel Mother Earth beneath your feet, Father Sky above your head, the created world all around, and the kindred souls you are blessed to share your life with, be they embodied or in spirit. In the silence now, feel the love rise above, hear the voice, and settle in home. Sweet, sweet Spirit, abiding presence of the divine. In you we truly live and move and have our being. We are all sparks of divine light, taking an embodied form to grow our soul, to deepen our love, to broaden our faith, and to trust the presence of grace in the midst of all. In this moment, recognize you are exactly where you are meant to be. Be at peace. Know you are unfolding exactly as you are meant to unfold. And be at peace. Know that your presence makes a difference in our shared world, and be at peace. Know that you never walk alone, for the presence of God is with you in a multitude of forms, seen and unseen, and be at peace. United in this field of love and light, of presence and peace, we take a moment to unite our hearts as one and to let our souls lovingly enfold Alora, Ellie, and Chris and Linda and their family and friends. Let us send Ellie forth on a great wave of love and blessing, entrusting her from the love of our arms into the love of those who awaited her, the presence of the angels and the masters and the divine. On the wings of spirit and of the music of the angels and the spheres, we bless you, sweet Ellie. You are the face of God. We hold you in our hearts. You are a part of us. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. We hold you in our hearts. You are a part of us. You are the face of God. Feel that blessing surround and send her forth. And allow it also to remain with you and to encircle and fill and uplift you, knowing you too are the face of God. And we are all so grateful for your presence in this world and the gifts you can uniquely bring to us all. We honor the unfolding of your soul journey. And most of all, we love you just as you are. Gather your life and yourself now exactly as you are, with things unfolding exactly as they are right now. And allow yourself to be at peace and to know you walk not alone. And now receive a prayer of blessing right where you are. Divine Creator, into your hands I place my worries, cares, and hopes. Into your wisdom I place my path, direction, and goal. Into your heart I place my gratitude and thanksgivings. Into your love I place my life. And now from this place of center and circumference, I invite you to pour forth all of the prayers that are yours this day, silently or loud, however you are so guided. Let us pray and uplift our prayers as one. And we unite all of these prayers with all of those entrusted to our High Watch prayer chaplains, written, spoken, or sent soul to soul. And we unite our prayers with all of our brothers and sisters of all spiritual traditions who pray for peace this day. Our daily word, world peace. We unite with their prayers, and our prayers form a great link and web that surrounds this beautiful orb we call home. And we see peace descend on earth through the human heart, as well as through the beauties and wonders of the created world and nature. Renewed, restored, and rededicated, we now prepare to return to our outer lives, but we do so knowing we are so connected to spirit, and that in any moment, wherever we are, we can settle in to that presence of silence and stillness, of peace, of love, and of grace. Let us now unite inner and outer realms in the oneness in which they truly are, as we sing in the silence once again, to return us to this sanctuary we are so blessed to share, that is life.
In the silence, I can feel the love. In the silence, I can rise above. In the silence, I can hear the voice. In the silence, I am home. In the silence, I can feel the love. In the silence, I can rise above. In the silence, I can hear the voice. In the silence, I am home.
Namaste. Blessings, blessings, blessings. And now, oh, a gift of special music with me and Kelly.
Thank you, Reverend Pam. And thank you for opening up this space. I feel such an incredible blessing in being connected to this community. So thank you, Clara, for inviting me. Just really celebrating the sanctuary that this space is, and the point of light of remembrance that it carries along with so many others around the world today and every day. And the song is another point of remembrance. This is a sacred song that I sing to myself quite often. A lot more these days, singing to myself. And my understanding is that one of the themes today is about water and the ebbing and flowing and the gifts that water brings. And that's where the inspiration came to bring it. There's three parts of it. One really deepens into the sense of sanctuary that's been initiated already this morning. Another is really recognizing that what we love needs our love. What feeds us we need to feed. So it's a call to action, a call to our own power to think about the beauty of water and what it brings to our lives, and find ways to take a stand for that which we love. In this sacred space is where I open my heart and feel the love. In this sacred space is where I open my eyes and see the light. In this sacred space is where I open up and become one. Raise your voice. We have the choice to heal this land. Raise your voice. We have the choice to heal this land. Yamanja, 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 Yemanja, 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 Oshu. These are the goddesses of the river and the ocean in Africa. Yemanja, 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 Oshu. Yemanja, 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 Oshu. Raise your voice. We have the choice to heal this land. Raise your voice. We have the choice to heal this land. In this sacred space is where we open our hearts and feel the love. In this sacred space is where we open our eyes and see the light. In this sacred space is where we open up and become one. Ooh, oh,
Thank you, Mia. I wanted us to stay in that sacred place for a moment. Thank you. That was beautiful. Oh, this month we're talking about seasonal cycles. And I can't think of about a place that is the more perfect place to be, to embrace the cycles and the shifts and the changes of life than being near the water, the beach in particular. I came from Texas, where we don't have a lot of beaches. And when I would go as a child to the beach, it would be to Galveston. And between the tar and the jellyfish and the trash, it was not a real fun place to be. But I knew I loved being on the water. And there was something about the beach that was just magical. Remember, I loved building sandcastles and making them really cool, and then watching as the tide slowly came in and filled the moat around my little castle. And then the next day I'd go back and the castle was gone. It had gone back from whence it had come, back to the sea. And even though there were very few tidal changes, there was something magical about the shoreline. And I believe with all of my heart that beaches and shorelines are places that I would call betwixt and between. They're places where it's not completely land and not completely water. They blend and they have their own dance with rhythms that change. And I love that. I loved when I came up here and realized the difference between high tide and low tide. And it could be really dramatic. And I love that. I find one of my favorite things to do is to walk along the shore. And betwixt and between places are wonderful places to do spiritual work and process, because it's a place of mystery, of ever unfolding change that is centered in a divine order that we don't quite feel in the midst of our lives sometimes. I know for me, one of the things that I've always done, if Lane and I have had a disagreement, or if I'm feeling overwhelmed with what's going on in the world, or with my responsibilities here, or with something that I've seen in the news, or with something that I'm walking through with someone, the best thing I can do is to go to one of the local beaches here, North Beach, Fort Worden, out on Marrowstone, and just walk along the beach for a while. Sometimes as I walk, I cry. Sometimes I sing. Sometimes I'm in silence. But there is something about that sacred space that you just sang of, that betwixt and between, that allows life to have its ebbs and flows and to remember that it's all part of a divine order. The sea naturally calls to us. That was where life, as we know it in terms of land life, began. And I would love to be there that moment, that whatever that sea creature was that first came out onto shore, what they must have felt, a whole new world, a whole new place. And we go through times like that in our lives, where we literally go from one life to another. I laugh because I think in this lifetime, with the way things are evolving and with the evolution and the transformation that we're all a part of, that many of us have multiple lifetimes within this one. And that for many of us, there are times it's like we're coming out of the water onto a new shore, and we have no idea what it's going to be like. And yet, you arrive on the shore and you feel the presence, and you feel the tides come and go and the wind blow. When I go out on a beach, the wind can blow away burdens I've been carrying faster than almost any way I can think of. It's like embodied prayer. And the sounds of the tide and the water and the gulls are like the voice of God. And so that place by the sea is a really profound and important one for me, and I think for most of us. It's classic, and all the world's spiritual traditions and the various writers talk about the importance of the ocean and the shoreline and the cycles of the sea. I love this piece by John O'Donohue. He said, "The ocean is one of the delights for the human eye. The seashore is a theater of fluency." Isn't that beautiful? A theater of fluency. When the mind is entangled, it is soothing to walk by the seashore, to let the rhythm of the ocean inside you. The ocean disentangles the netted mind. Everything loosens and comes back to itself. The false divisions are relieved, released, and healed. Isn't that beautiful? John O'Donohue. Let the rhythm of the ocean inside of you. When I went off to college, my mother gifted me with a book that many women from my generation were gifted with as they went off to college by their mothers. And it's Gift from the Sea by Anne Morrow Lindbergh, who was married to Charles Lindbergh. And she would go every year to the beach. She would leave behind her husband, her children, her work, her responsibilities at home, and she would intentionally go to the seashore, to the beach, to that betwixt and between place. And she would take a basket full of all the projects she was going to work on, all those letters she was supposed to write, all of the lists she was supposed to do, the knitting that had gone undone that she was going to catch up on. And she found at the end of her week at the beach, she would look at the basket and it was sitting right where it was by the door. And she hadn't done any of it because she had settled into what she called beach time. And she said, to settle into beach time, you let those tasks and things to do go. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who've said during the pandemic, I had that whole year and a half at home, and I thought I was going to do this and this and this and this. I had time to do this and that, and I didn't do it. Be at peace. That, in a way, was beach time for many of us. Anne Morrow Lindbergh says, the beach is not the place to work, to read, to write, or to think. One should lie open, empty, choiceless at a beach, waiting for a gift from the sea. And so she would go out every day on the beach and walk and find shells. And she talks about how in life we tend to love the flow when the tide comes in and all of the things that we've been manifesting and praying for show up. We love that great flow of the sea. But when the ebb comes and things recede and disappear and go away, we tend to say, wait, don't go. But that's part of the flow. And it's in that ebb time that when you walk in that betwixt and between place of that soft, wet sand, you find the treasures that have come up from the depths of the sea, the shells, the sea glass, all of the creatures that abide in the little tidal pools that you wouldn't see any other way. And then in due time, the flow comes back, the tide returns and comes up, and the beach is covered. Your sandcastle goes back into nothingness. But the great flow has brought new blessings in. And with the next ebb, if you're willing to accept the cycle, you can walk on that soft, damp sand and find the treasures, not just on the beach, but in your life. And so as she walked along the beach, she collected shells. And she realized different shells represented different aspects of her life and her relationships. And her book has a chapter on each one of the shells and what they represent and the time of your life that it represents. When I first read this book, back when I was 18, it meant one thing. I've read it over the years, and every time I read it, I'm at a different place in my life and I draw forth different wisdom. And one of the things I've realized in the last few years only about this is I used to see each shell as like a sequential part of life, that you have this part of your life and then this part and then this part and this part and then this part. And that each one of the shells is part of that. What I realized is that all of life is a blend of all of these shells. Just like I've learned when I was in nursing school, I learned the stages of grief. We don't go through them clearly, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can't ask them, where are you? Are you angry or depressed? Well, it depends on the moment. Life doesn't fit in neat little boxes like that. And thank heavens, because this allows us to be present and authentic, which is part of who we say we are with life as it unfolds. And so we tend to want to see things in this sequential order. And one of the things this pandemic has gifted with us with is sequential order doesn't always work. In fact, the more attached you are to it, the less you can be at peace and comfortable with the flow of whatever is going on. And to be present in your life, whether it's an ebb or a flow time. And no matter which shell you're holding in your hand as the aspect of your life. So rather than at 18, thinking this was a sequential series of life events, now at 70, I go, yes, yes, yes. I can see all of these shells in the course of my week because each one brings its gift of the moment. The first shell is the channeled whelk, it's called, and it's actually the deserted home of a hermit crab. It's bare, it's simple, and inside is the spiral. Like David talked about the circles. The inside is a spiral where the little hermit crab lives. And there's an opening that's a door through which he crawled in, and it's the same door that he crawled out. And when he no longer fit in that home, he goes to find another one, a different one. We all do that. We shift, and we have to be willing to recognize that where we are right now is a blessing. But when the time is right and the inner guidance is such, sometimes it's time to go look for your next shell. And that doesn't mean you have to move physically or leave a job or a relationship. It's recognizing that you've seen your life as too small and it's time to open it up. And to recognize you have the inner wisdom to know when to stay and when to move if you're willing to trust that voice. She says, the final answer I always know is inside. One is free like the hermit crab to change one's shell. The next shell that she talks of is the moon shell. And the moon shell is round. It looks like a full moon, and it's white with kind of a pinkish color to it. And there's a spiral in the center of it. Again, that spiral, that circle. So it's a circular, it looks like a full moon with a spiral in the center. And it is reminding you of the whole concept of being self-contained and that you are complete in and of yourself, that all of the cycles that the moon goes through, the actual physical moon doesn't change. When we see it as a crescent moon or a half moon or a full moon, the moon itself hasn't changed. It's our perception of it and the light that we can see on it that shifts and changes. It's a reminder of your inner wholeness. She says this, solitude, says the moon shell, center down, like the Quaker saints say. You remind me that unless I keep that island quality intact somewhere within me, I will have little to give. We all need to have that moon shell with us, reminding us to go within and to trust the wholeness of life and of ourselves. The next shell she talks about is called a double sunrise, and it's a perfectly matched bivalve. So it's two sides that have something that unites them here. They've got a little edge there, but they are two shells that are facing one another. And she calls that the double sunrise because there's a little pink in each, and they reflect that sunrise color back to each other. And this is when you have a connection with someone and it is so close and you're having such deep soul work and communion together. It is though the whole rest of the world has disappeared. And you are present in that moment just with that one other soul at a depth of soul work and communion, each being seen for who they are and held in sacred space together. When I read this at 18, I thought, oh, this is when you find the love of your life. And it is. It's also when you hold a grandchild. It's when you commune with a friend at depth through some experience of grief or joy. It's where you settle in and you let everything else disappear so you can really be present with another person. She says the pure relationship, how beautiful it is. Two people listening, really listening to each other. Two shells meeting each other, making one world between them. Beautiful, sacred space that we all carry as a potential in each moment. The next one is called the oyster bed. And I remember when I got to this one, I went, oh my gosh, this is probably going to be my adult life. The oyster bed is just like you think. It's gnarly, encrusted, grows in every direction, kind of chaotic. It takes constant activity to create it and to keep it alive. And she said, this is your outworking in the world. It's what you're creating in the world. It's your work, it's your family, it's your outer connections. And she said, what you have to realize is that because of the work that it does, it allows forms of life to be there that could not have been there had there not been an oyster bed. And it's saying, even when life seems to be too outer focused, you're there for something. It's our unity thing of you're an eternal spiritual being, have an earthly experience for a divine reason. That is the message of the oyster bed. Because the oyster bed is where you create your life, you set your intentions, you manifest them, and it is gnarly and it feels chaotic and you can't control it. And somebody else is building their oyster bed right next to yours. And they're all gnarly, but it's part of the divine life creation. It is working with others. And she sees this as communal interdependence, which I love. I think that's one of our lessons of this time period. And she uses a wonderful quote from Saint-Exupéry, who is the one that wrote The Little Prince. In fact, this line, I believe, comes from The Little Prince, which is still one of my favorite books. Love does not consist in gazing at each other, but in looking outward together in the same direction. That has its place and its beauty as well. And the final shell is called an argonauta. And it's not one she found on the beach, but she began to study shells. And the argonauta is a paper-thin nautilus shell. So it's they're usually about that big. Paper thin, you literally hold one up to the light and you can see through it. And it is found only at the mouth of the river in Brazil, where the Amazon River comes down. And many of them are broken, but every once in a while you find one that is completely intact, that made it down the river and made it through the tides and the currents and the other shells and the rocks and survived intact. I've seen one. They're beautiful and they're very rare. And she said, this represents the soul kind of relationship where you connect so much with another that you absolutely accept each other as you are. And that each of you has gone through the rough and tumble wild circle of life, and you come together, and with one another you find unconditional love. And she said, this is the goal of all of our relationships. And it's rare, but it is possible to have such love that you can love truly unconditionally, where you put another before yourself, where you accept all of their rough edges that brought them to this point. And this, when I was 18, I thought, oh, I hope I have that when I'm old. We can have it anytime, that we truly look in the eyes of another and accept them for all of their goodness and all of their challenges, their foibles. My mother used to say, I love you warts and all, where you absolutely accept another. And with this one, she says, this is where it becomes possible to truly experience that love that we would call the love of the Christ or the Buddha, the love of Muhammad, whatever your spiritual traditions, it's divine love. And it allows for continued growth amid change. There's a wonderful passage in this chapter that I've used many times at weddings. In fact, Lane and I used it in our wedding. And it's that a relationship like this has a pattern like a dance, where you're both moving to the same rhythm. And it doesn't matter whether you're dancing face to face, side to side, or back to back. You're both moving to the same rhythm. And she says this, in doing this, you're being invisibly nourished by it. I see us here seeking to have that kind of dance between all of us. That's why we have authentic, transformative spiritual community. I just realized in this moment, that is Argonauta. I never thought of that before. Authentic, transformative, spiritual community. We are seeking to live Argonauta. And this comes from Rilke, wonderful, amazing poet. She says, Argonauta is this, that love consists in this, that two solitudes protect and touch and greet each other, which makes it possible for each to see the other whole and against a wide sky. Wouldn't that be a wonderful way to see each other? Whole against a wide sky. And so those are the shells that she speaks of in this book. And then it's time for her to return back to life. And she realizes and reviews the shells and the gift each one brings, and renews her dedication to go back and step into life, renewed, restored, and rededicated, that we frequently speak of in meditation. And I love how she concludes the book. When we start at the center of ourselves, we discover something worthwhile, extending toward the periphery of the circle. Perfect reading today. We again find some of the joy in the now, some of the peace in the here, some of the love in me and in thee, which goes to make up the kingdom of heaven on earth. There are other beaches to explore. There are more shells to find. This is but a beginning. I thank my mom for the book, for Anne Morrow Lindbergh for framing this in a way that has companioned me since I was 18 and continues to companion me. And I thank all of you for being there with me and with one another as we do the channeled whelp of the hermit crab, the moon shell of wholeness, the double sunrise of deep connection with another, the gnarliness of the oyster bed, and the delicate rare beauty of argonauta. Let us pray. Sweet, sweet spirit, abiding presence of the divine. Oh, we give thanks for the beauty of this world, for the ebbs and flows of life, for the seasons that each brings its gifts and its awarenesses. May we be open to embrace both the flows, but also the ebbs of our lives. May we honor and celebrate the seasons, and may we remember to always take time in the outer world or in the depths of our being to spend some time in that place of beach, that place of wonder and possibility, that place betwixt and between that which has been, that which is, and that which is yet to be. May we celebrate and enjoy the beauty and the gifts that come from the sea and from this liminal space that gifts us with a remembrance that we are truly one with the divine as we go through our soul unfoldings and the sharing of this beautiful home called Gaia. And so settle now and know you are not alone, and dedicate yourself to being present and to creating Argonauta together, not only for all of those who find us at Unity, but for all we touch in our lives. We are so grateful for this day, for the way all the pieces flowed together. The music, David's reading, the message, Clara's beautiful songs. It all flows together to remind us that we are one. And we know there are more beaches to explore, more shells to find. And we are so grateful that this moment is but a beginning of that which is yet to come. We are open and we are grateful. And so it is. Om, amen, and blessed be. And now, music.
Am I on? I love this song by Karen Drucker, Let Go of the Shore. But Pam has led us on this beautiful walk on the shore. And I would really like to stay there and not let go of the shore. So I would like to go back to sing The Peace of the Earth again. I just feel like it fits. And you'll add your harmony. And full circle. Okay, so join me. The peace of the earth be with you, the peace of the heavens too. The peace of the rivers be with you, the peace of the oceans too. Deep peace falling over you, God's peace growing in you. Sing joy. The joy of the earth be with you, the the joy of the heavens too. The joy of the rivers be with you, the joy of the oceans too. Deep joy falling over you, God's joy growing in you. Let's go back to peace. The peace of the earth be with you, the peace of the heavens too. The peace of the rivers be with you, the peace of the oceans too. Deep peace falling over you, God's peace growing in you.
Don't you just love it the way that we get to create as we go along here? Switch a song up to hold the energy of the wonderful message. Thank you so very much. So as we get ready and prepare ourselves for the offering, there's a couple words for you. In terms of attracting that which is our highest and best, we attract relationships and circumstances consistent with our consciousness, our deeply held beliefs, our habitual thoughts, our mental states, and our level of spiritual realization, our beaches. Realizing that we are an expression of God and identifying ourselves with our divine potential is the key to attracting our highest good. And we teach a class on prosperity when we're teaching classes, and part of that is just that we live in a prosperous universe that is here to support us. But we need to raise our consciousness to a place that we can accept that flow and be part of that flow. It's a circular thing, the giving and the receiving, and it builds upon itself. So in that context, I invite you to take out your offering and hold it, or your pay now button, or whatever form of giving you choose, and we will bless that. And we just bless you. I mean, whether or not there's anything other than your time, talents, and treasures, we just bless your presence. So together, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful. I believe we have some songs along that way. It's my power gives me everything I need.
So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I have. God is my source. God is my power.
God gives me everything I need. And I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need.
God gives
Gives
me
me
everything I
need.
God gives me
Everything
everything
I need. Oh, sweet, sweet Spirit, Mother, Father, God, thank you again for being reminded of these beaches that we get to walk on in life. I mean, being an oyster thingy, I mean, how cool is that? Thank you for these gifts. We receive them with great gratitude, and we send them forward through our spiritual community, the bigger community, and across the planet, that each person may find the commonality of our walk on the beach, find the shells that we are, and allow them to be exposed in such a way that somebody else can find it. Find our argonautic,
Argonauta.
Argonauta,
Argonauta.
and express that. And in doing so, create heaven on earth. And let us do that in our lifetime. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Your orgonomic, I'm thinking of
Thank you.
making some flowers or something. Okay, well, we have announcements. And as all of you know, this is a tithing church, which means that 10% of our total income moves forward to bless others. And it's just amazing what little, there's not a lot of money, but it's the right amount of money at the right time. And we just received a thank you letter from Neighbors, which is a developmentally disabled organization that has group housing. Here's what they say. Claudia says this: thank you for your continuing to be a champion for people with developmentally disabilities. We truly appreciate your generosity during these extremely challenging and unprecedented times. Your support is making all the difference right now as we navigate our new, quote, normal. She goes on to gives a lot more information, then says, what a challenging time. She hand wrote this part. What a challenging time. We are happy to report that everyone in our organization has remained healthy, and all of our residents have found ways to volunteer safely and continue giving back to our community. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What we give comes back around. And we give you the opportunity to go to our website and discover that we have lots going on. So Reverend Robert, who's silently behind the Zoom over here, he's got this crowdcast thing that he does, and it's a 2-minute meditation. And if you go up onto his crowdcast, and it's on our website, just plug into it and see if that doesn't, it's just amazing some of the stuff that he comes up with. And for me, it always seems to hit me at the right moment. And much of the stuff that I do here is a reflection of what he's talking about in 2 minutes. So easy way to start your day. That's on, does it every day. And on Sunday, he's got a crowd class. Wednesday, he's got one. So anyway, I invite you to join that. Monday, we have meditation. That link is on Zoom. It's for Nanda meditation, so it's a chanting. Tuesday, Pam's classes continue on, and we got 2 of those rolling on alternate Tuesdays. Wednesday, we continue with high noon, and it's a chance to take a moment in the middle of your week, and particularly if something comes up in the week and you just need a place to center and pray and let it go. It's a good place to show up noon on Wednesdays. We've got other meditation going on in the Hearth Room. We've got both on Zoom and in the Hearth Room, Tibetan meditation, and then, one dropped off. And then we got yoga on the Zoom. So we're really zoomed on around here. And so you just need to go to your computer and find us, and we'd be happy to have you join in with us, and there's a lot of good information. So let's see with that. Oh, we got a couple other things. Wait a minute, we got stuff going on. Next week, Pamela is going to be gone, and she's going on a retreat. Just, yeah, I wonder which beach that is, too. That's probably a literal beach. And Amy Ringel and Alexa Rose are going to provide both the music and the message. So we'll intertwine the two together. This should be interesting. And so that's coming up next Sunday. The following Sunday is what? Halloween. And we're going to do a All Souls, All Saints, Day of the Dead celebration of people that have passed from this realm into the next. And we'll have an altar set up here. So if you want a representation of that spirit that's left us in physical form, a picture, a token, whatever, just make sure you get it here by Sunday, the 31st. And we'll have the altar set up, I think, on Thursday, right ahead of time. And I'll announce it next week. So just kind of be pulling out those pictures of grandma and grandpa and brothers and sisters or moms and dads or aunts and uncles or whomever, pets. We got a couple cat pictures they might want to set up in there. So anyway, we invite you, whatever would be a good representation, because all of those individuals, how many legs they have or none, all have meaning and all have created who you are. So we want to honor that, and what a great time to do that. And if you want to show up on your Zoom screen or here in costume, just be sure to wear a mask. Okay, I think that covers all the announcements then, as we move into the peace song.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes,
there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be.
with God as creator, united all are we. Yes, we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every breath I take, yes, this is my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
And we know the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And as the light of God we shine, and as the love of God we embrace, and as the power of God we stand in truth, and as the presence of God we express our divinity in all that we do. And so it is.
And so it is. Go forth blessed and blessing.
Have a wonderful week, everyone.